Welcome back, my fellow Vap Cappers. We are here with some exciting new news out of Dynavap, the WoodWynd. This is actually an updated version to a device they offered very early on in the Dynavap line called a TI Double Crown Woody, which was a small stem like this. But if you're one of those nerds that's really into Dynavap history, you'll know that these had a little tiny issue that the wood was so thin that it would crack sometimes under use. And that's actually what happened to mine here. So now this is just a fun display piece. Fast forward to now, we have the updated TI Double Crown Woody, the WoodWynd. After I use it, I actually put it back in the box just to show you guys. It's official, folks. Dynavap has moved away from the green and purple little tubes that they used to send all their devices in, and all of their new devices are now coming in these retail packaging like you see here, and also what we saw with the M+. Gone are the days of all those little tubes piling up in our drawers at home. Now we have a box. Let's get this thing out of the box and show you what it's all about. Since this is somewhat of a brand new device and lineup for the Dynavap world, we're just going to go ahead and do a complete device breakdown from the top down and talk about some of the differences and some of the things they did in each part. For starters, the cap. Nothing really different here. This is a 2023 cap, which makes sense. Next up, we have the Helix tip. Nothing new about this Helix tip. You can catch my video about the Helix tip if you want to know about this. So we're not going to spend too much time here because there have been no changes. But wait, have there been no changes in the tip? Upon further inspection, I discovered that with the WoodWynd, a fun little bonus edition of a brand new CCD. It's always fun when Dynavap gives just a little bit extra when they release a new device. The other thing that I found out, the CCD is stainless steel. It does attract to a magnet. Thanks to my friend Odo, who gave me that tip to find out if it was stainless steel or not. The only thing I did find a little bit weird was stainless steel and a titanium tip is a new thing for me. Typically, it's always been titanium CCDs and a titanium tip. But hey, we're here with a new world of Dynavap and a new device. Plus, I can't really say that steel versus titanium CCD in a tip has made that much big of a difference. It's just something to take note of. Moving on down, and this is the showpiece of the whole device, the midsection. It's got a really interesting design that's lightweight. It feels really good in the hands, and it makes it really easy to find the air port. The first thing I did look to see if it is fully lined. I don't know how I felt about the fact that it's not fully lined, but we'll get into some of that, why it's not really important. Whether it's still a big deal to you or not, I don't really know. Undecided to see how this is going to play out over time. Let's not spend too much time there, as it is mostly lined. Basically, at the top and bottom of the hourglass is how far down the inner liner goes. So you have this nice crown that's folded over all one piece and lined to about there and there, with an unlined section in the middle. And while it does look very skinny in the center, most of the thickness of the wood in the center is actually on the inside. So there is a step in there, which I'm not too terribly sure is going to be easy for cleaning later on. However, with the midsection and the way that this is designed, and we'll talk about the condenser in a second, I don't know how much cleaning the midsection is actually going to end up needing. The other thing I noticed in my initial cleaning of the device, I did take some ISO to the inner crowns, and then I took a Q-tip to where the wood was, and some red residue came off. I don't think I was alarmed by this because I do know the type of wood that is used is called Paduke. It does have somewhat of a red tinge to it. I'm sure that if I was to take some wood wax, you know what? Let's give this a nice little waxing on the outside, really bring the shine. For those of you that might be new to wood and have only had metal devices, a nice wood wax is something that is pretty standard for a wood device. Especially depending on the climate that you live in. If it's really dry, you're going to want to wax your wood to keep it from cracking. So now that I've rubbed all the wax in, you can see that it did give off some red here. I don't think the red should be anything to be alarmed by since it's just the color of the wood. Now that we've given our midsection a nice shine with the wax. So the other thing I noticed when I was looking at the midsection was there's actually no Dynavap logo. Naturally, I had to go hunting to see where it was. It wasn't a very far trip to find it. They put it very cleverly on the inside of each crown to not ruin the very sleek design on the outside. Let's let the wax settle in and set that to the side. Next up, we have the condenser and mouthpiece assembly. While it looks very similar to previous Dynavap designs, it's actually very different in the way that it's functioning. It's not like an Omni, it's not like an M, it's a whole new thing. And that is, it's just pressure fit on the outside. It just slides in and pulls apart, and there is a very tactile click when it separates out of the mouthpiece. Let's talk about the condenser for just a second. You'll see that they lasered in this groove, which adds to the pattern in which the air will flow around the condenser, similar to the pattern on the Omni condenser, to lead the fresh air around and add additional cooling. Second up on the condenser, you'll see this split at the end here. This is actually what keys in to the mouthpiece to give you that nice clippy feeling. So I'm sure after time of pulling in the condenser in and out of the mouthpiece, you might have to take a little something and maybe force those back out just to make the click real nice again. Those are all things I'll have to see in a couple months of use. Last up, they went with a really different design from their typical mouthpieces, which have always been the shape of this wood one here, whether it was made out of metal, a spinner, or not. They all held that similar hourglass shape. And now the mouthpiece plays more off of the Helix tip with a nice spiral design, leading to, again, a balanced look. Last up, they did make the mouthpiece 10mm compatible, so it does fit in your 10mm joints. Let's get this device assembled again. Before we get the device built in entirety, I wanted to show you how far up the condenser goes up into the tip. It goes just past the crown to go all the way up here into the tip. So what this does is it keeps the vapor out of the midsection. And that's why I was wondering just how much am I going to end up having to clean that unlined section. Only use will really tell how far that's going to go. Now that we've talked about all the parts, let's go ahead and give it a go. Typically, I like to run with an FMJ, but I just wanted to show you guys what it was like with just a standard cap. Nice, slow and steady single flame. First click, second click, let's give it a rock. I found that because the gap between the condenser and the air port is actually really small, it's easy to run this without holding the air port closed. And since the Helix has the added airflow through the tip, it's a really nice experience just not having to worry about the air port at all. And when I use an FMJ for that added mass, I get really good extractions out of this. Now that we've gotten the cooldown clicks, let's go ahead and decap and take a look at how that came out. It came out a nice golden brown color. It wasn't too harsh at all, not even a cough. The one thing I will say, and this is something I said in the Helix video as well, that for those people that really like to ride the line and get those dark, heavy, next to black extractions, this setup might not necessarily be for you. If you really like flavor and just want wonderful vapor and are really looking for that clean Dynavap experience, the WoodWynd. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay lifted. Psst, come hang out with us on Discord.